Hit the like and subscribe button right now or else this will be your new breakfast. Ask/Reddit by Reddit Habits. What's the worst punishment you ever received as a child? I was driven about 30 minutes outside of my city to an isolated, large, and creepy looking building, which I was told was an orphanage. I was given the choice of telling the truth and admitting to something I had not done, or being left there. I'm 38 and still think about this from time to time. Update. Not to excuse what they did, but my mum and dad both had terrible upbringings with abusive parents. My dad was full of anger and my mum was rather weak and full of shame. I started therapy about 5 years ago and was reaching a point where I was going to decide whether to confront my parents with how I felt about my childhood or cut them from my life. Then my dad died. With his death, a lot of my own anger about how they'd behaved went. I've been able to be the bigger person with my mum and set her a better example of how to behave, including how I expect her to behave towards me. Our relationship is stronger than it has ever been, and I don't dwell on this event in the same way. I used to be hurt thinking about it. Now I see it as the reactions of angry and scared people to a situation they couldn't control, and resolve to do better myself. My dad always told my brother and I that he was going to have CPS take us away because he hated us. Gotta love those long-term crippling fears of abandonment. When I was around 6 years old, my stepdad woke me up in the night by pulling me out of the bed and yelling that I had got piss on the toilet seat. He took me out on the front porch, and while he was paddling me, the rail I was bracing against broke, and I fell off the porch. My mom used to do the whole waking me up in the middle of the night for some perceived wrongdoing stuff. She would suddenly and loudly throw my door open, turn on the light and drag me out of bed at all hours. I'm pretty sure I'm a light sleeper and regularly wake up startled because of that. I'm 40. I swore I would never do that shit to my kids. Edit. Gosh, I don't want to do the cliche Reddit thing, but I honestly didn't expect any attention whatsoever for this comment. Thank you to each person who's responded to this. You all got an upvote from me. It makes me sad to know others have experienced this, or much worse. For those who asked, I'm fine aside from the sleep stuff and some pretty intense anxiety that's gotten better with age. I actually have a very good relationship with my mom. We've talked about it over the years and I understand that like many others her age, she is a product of their upbringing. My kids are 20, 14, 13, and 13 and to this day, I have never done that. I am, however, probably a terrible parent in 100 other ways. Kidding. Virtual hugs to you all. My mom said I couldn't have a best friend anymore because my best friend and I were drawing pentagrams on manuscript paint at our after school program, pretending they were transmutation circles from an anime called Full Metal Alchemist. Pentagrams are much easier for a 9-year-old to draw than an intricate alchemy array. My mom immediately jumped to this being devil worshipping, despite my friend and I not even knowing what a pentagram really meant. This led to my mom telling every single teacher and after school care worker not to allow me to be anywhere near my friend. Friend moves away and mom won't let me ML her to stay in touch. I'm 24 now and haven't had any close friends since. Christina, if you're out there, I still miss you. This made me so sad. I hope you find her one day. My dad holding me up by grabbing my ear and my foot. Lol, my mom broke the cartilage in my ear like this. It turned blackish and hurt. When the wind blew, thought I had an ear infection. She took me to the doctor. Guy says this shit broke. What happened? I hadn't realized what happened until the doctor asked me, and I thought for a few seconds and saw my mother staring at me, and I went I fell. I always thought I just saved this bitch a really awkward situation, lol. Not gonna lie, this S broke made me laugh. My mum took everything in my room except a blanket. My radio, books, toys, you name it. I was locked in there for the UK summer holidays. They are 6 weeks long. My mum used to beat 10 bells of shit out of, but being locked in that room the whole summer was probably the worst. I was grounded for 6 months straight, which was me being locked in my room, not an actual physical lock, and I wasn't allowed to leave it except for dinner, the bathroom and to go to school. I had 0 toys, I owned no books, I had nothing to do but get lost in my head, and at one point my radio was taken away, so I was left in complete silence. I was between 10 to 13. Why was I grounded? My dad thought either my brother or I stole his camera and sold it, and until we told him who did it, we were both grounded. Finally, after 6 months, he finally cleaned his room and found his camera and said we were ungrounded. We never even got an apology. After that, my dad continued to ground me for block of months at a time. I ended up being grounded and isolated for 1.5 years total, between 10 to 13 years old. Being trapped in my head for that long has fucked me up mentally permanently. When I was 8 years old, I had every dish in the house thrown at me, including a loaf of bread. I was then locked outside till midnight. I was first put out in the morning. Once I was left out front, 4-year-old me thought, "Ha, imago over there." They couldn't find me because I was going to the park down the road on my own in the cold. I can't even imagine letting either of my kids, 3 and 5, out of the house on their own. The pointless ones. We had landscaping rocks in our yard from an unfinished project. They were probably 30 pounds each. After a number of other punishments failed, my parents came up with the move rocks punishment. I'd have to move 30 or so of these rocks 50 yards. Set them up into a particular shape, square, circle, etc. Have my parents check them, and then move them all back. The pointlessness of it all was the worst. Sounds like an anal punishment. An ass whooping from dad, that his grip and my trying to run, broke my arm. How was that explained to the doctor? I fell off of my bike. So that's why the nurses separated my whole family, to ask each of us exactly how my sibling broke an arm as a toddler. They really did just fall off a chair though. Same thing happened to me. I busted my head open by running and hitting a wall. The doctors thought my parents were lying. Lol. Nope, I'm just a dumbass. Got put on restriction for 6 months for doing something my mom said I could do. But then she said she never gave me permission to do, even though another adult was sitting there and confirmed he heard her give me permission to do it. Also had to pick up all the rocks in the vacant lot next to our house and put them in a pile on weekends as part of the punishment. That something was, rode my bicycle to the library. That's it? Bruh. Exercise and education? 6 months of abuse. Hands tied behind my back with a belt so I couldn't cover myself, and then beat about the face, neck, and shoulders with another belt for several minutes. Dad was a real piece of shit. Edit. Thanks for the kind words. Life got better. Damn, that sucks. My mom would just sit on me to hold me down so dad could get good shots with the belt. Damn, I'm lucky. I was only ever spanked with a wooden spoon, and once I could outrun my mom, she let me. I can't believe people think beating the shit out of kids is good parenting. Probably getting strangled by my dad after I stormed away from the dinner table while yelling that I hated eating with my parents because all they did was yell and curse at one another. Strangling sucks. Around the time I was 12 or 13, my stepdad strangled me with my little cousins downstairs simply because I was annoying him. I honestly thought I was going to die. He did a lot of shitty things, but that was the worst. Not me, but my son actually. He is a little fella, as are his mother and myself. She would force him to drink nothing but Pediasure with every meal and go ballistic when he would not be able to finish the terrible frozen meal she made him. She sent a message to me saying he was hiding food he didn't want to eat and that she beat his ass and I should expect bruising. The next day my father picks him up and dropped him off to my girlfriend at our house. After dinner she went to put him in the shower and was horrified at what she saw. Imagine a tiny 7-year-old boy with a completely bruised ass. And I mean deep purple, yellow, and green bruises. She called me immediately. I rushed home from work, calling the police on my way. A sergeant from my local PD was very helpful and supportive to my little boy. Told me what to file and how to file it, and that I should rush to Children's Hospital. He also called his lifelong best friend who is a captain in the town where my ex-wife lives. Within 2 weeks I had full emergency custody and she had domestic violence charges. Fast forward a year and I'm a sole custodial parent and my son is thriving. He has gained almost 20 lbs. Can now ride a bike without training wheels. He could not ride one at all when we took custody. Good food, positive attention, and lots of love have helped him grow tremendously. Well done. Your son is lucky to have you. My uncle would have me stand T-pose and hold books. Not too bad. Then I have to stand on my toes, then he would put nails sticking up under my heels. He would dare me to relax. Edit. On a related to my uncle note, he also chased me and my cousin, his own child, with a BB gun and shot at us. He eventually hit my cousin in the eye. The BB got stuck on his eyelid, so thankfully there was very minimal damage to his eyeball. Is that a punishment or an attempt by uncle at violating a Geneva Convention? Both. That's clearly sadism. It's a stupid punishment because it takes long and forces you to constantly watch to make sure they don't cheat. It only makes sense for a sadist because they enjoy watching it and don't want it to be over fast. Edit. Just want to add, you don't need the Geneva Convention. The Convention on the Rights of the Child protects child and worldwide. https://n.m/wiki/convention_/wiki/convention_the_rights_of_the_child. Edit 2. It was signed by all eligible states except the USA. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with our daily videos.